Well, good afternoon, friends in Malawi and Botswana. Good morning to those of you in Scotland. Everybody is equally welcome to this forum, irrespective of geography or knowledge of renewables. So please do feel encouraged to contribute as prompted by today's chair. I'm Stuart Brown. I'm the interim CEO of the Scotland-Malawi Partnership, or SMP. The SMP is a membership organisation which exists to support, connect and represent the many individuals and organisations in Scotland who have dignified people-to-people links with Malawi for two-way learning and two-way benefit. We're funded by, but independent of, the Scottish Government. Our chair for today's meeting is Stuart Galloway, Professor of Compact Power Systems and Vice Dean Knowledge Exchange in the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Strathclyde, to whom I'll hand over in just a moment. The meeting is being recorded and will go online later today or tomorrow for anybody to view. We take your continuing participation as your consent to being part of that recording. If you haven't already, please would you ensure that you appear under the name in which you've registered for the meeting and not the device that you're using. Please feel really welcome to introduce yourself in the chat function and share your organisation and, if you'd like to, your email address if you wish. Please note that the chat log will be added to the recording as well, with information sent out to everybody. All of the messages and chat shared to everybody will be included in that, but if you send any direct messages to one another, that won't be recorded, so please do take a note of that. We'd ask you to remain muted, please, until you're invited to speak during the Q&A sessions. If you would then please unmute yourself. If possible, we'd encourage you also, when you're speaking, to switch on your video so that the Zoom system can spotlight you for that. You're welcome to live tweet during this meeting. The social media handles are being shown on the screen and in chat. We've got around 90 minutes together, including time for Q&A and discussion, so please feel very welcome to put questions in Zoom chat at any time, and they'll be come to by the chair. Now over to our chair, Professor Stuart Galloway.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for that. That's very kind. Welcome. So welcome today to our presenters, colleagues, attendees and friends. As Stuart said, we are all really pleased that you can be here, and it's great to have you along at the session today. As Stuart has mentioned, my name is Stuart Galloway. I'm a Professor of Electrical Engineering at the University of Strathclyde, and it's my very great pleasure to also be chairing the session for the SMP Renewable Energy Forum today. Our theme for this meeting is on sharing practical experiences of deploying renewable energy in Malawi, and we've got a range of...
You've just gone on to mute, Stuart. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry about that. My apologies. So maybe I'll just start again. Sorry about that. Just to say, so it's, thank you. I'm obviously chairing the meeting today, and our theme is on sharing practical experiences with deploying renewable energy, and we've got a range of speakers in the different sections of the agenda. I think it's important to note that you have the right expertise in place for any and at all stages of renewable energy projects. It's not just simply a technical matter. If it requires expertise to kind of orchestrate the success of projects at every stage, that could be from community engagement, navigating feasibility assessments, shaping over and overseeing sort of deployments, and maybe maintaining the operational excellence of operations and asset management across the projects in hand. So our journey, towards a greener future hinges really on the commitment and proficient, capable minds that we have together to navigate the complexities of renewable energy policy, delivery, utilisation, and ensure not just the vitality of projects at each stage, but the lasting vitality of the projects. There's a sustained element to that. So Strathclyde University has been working on renewable projects with partners in Malawi for the last 10 years or so. These projects really have covered a wide range of application areas that have linked in with healthcare, supported agricultural applications, domestic applications, even supporting small businesses. But they've been primarily about managing and delivery of energy supply in a secure, safe and reliable way. Edgar Bayani, who I think might be in the audience today. He was one of the people who is one of the many people who've been involved in projects with us, and he, in fact, was involved in our first project that we had with the university with partners in Malawi, which we called was a Renewable Energy Malawi project, which we knew as MREAP. And and his involvement kind of coincided with that first project, and he's been involved, as have a few others throughout that whole sort of duration. That partnership between the University of Strathclyde and the Community Energy Malawi that was formed as part of towards the end of MREAP has been a key partnership for us, and it's resulted in a real understanding of the issues, and also it's confirmed the priority to share the experience of working together on different renewable projects in Malawi. So it's been very helpful. I think it's important for us all to hear about successful projects, because they kind of demonstrate what is possible. And I really want to extend my thanks to the African Sun Energy and Bubezi Pride Foundation, for finding the time with us to share their experiences today as part of the agenda that we have. Looking more broadly, over the last decade, I think we've hopefully all witnessed a strong growth in renewable energy expertise and capacity in Malawi. And it is great to see this. And it is particularly good to see that the Renewable Energy Industry Association of Malawi are going from strength to strength. And I must say, I'm delighted to have Sustain Chikalua joining us today to tell us more about the members and the expertise available in Malawi. That is very encouraging. We also have Crispin Gogoda, who can tell us about the important work that's happening at Mizuzu University on training in the renewable energy sector. And maybe I could share a personal thing that the last time I saw and spoke with Crispin, it was at Crispin's PhD Viva, and I was part of the examination team. So he was looking a bit worried the last time we met. But I'm very pleased to tell you that Crispin did a great job in defending his PhD thesis at Loughborough University. And he's survived that, and it's really great to see that he can join us today. So that was a very pleasant surprise to see Crispin today. But returning to our theme of the forum, which is on sharing practical experiences and deploying renewable energy in Malawi, I think as we'll hear from our speakers, sharing knowledge is such an important part of our work, which allows it to be realised. And this is one of the key things of why events like this are so important. At Strathclyde, we're really trying to take this forward through the formation of a thing called the Global Renewables Centre. This centre really is starting to gather, and it's focused around knowledge exchange. The centre is really gathering momentum, and we're intending to provide a hub to facilitate that knowledge exchange across renewable sectors in Scotland, Malawi, Zambia, and Rwanda. We're reaching out to different communities, practitioners, academia, industry, and broadly in civil society. And I hope that you will have time to engage in that in due course. So I think that I've spoken enough, really. I want to just now hand over to the first of our speakers, which is Sustain, who's the president of RIAMA at the Gateway to Malawi Renewables. So thank you. Sustain. Sustain, I think you did the same as me. You're on mute as well.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks again for the kind introductions. I hope you can see my screen. So I'm going to present on behalf of the Renewable Energy Association of Malawi, RIAMA, and our title is RIAMA Gateway to Malawi Renewables. The quick outline is as indicated in here. We will discuss about more about REAMA, membership services, governance structure, cooperating partners, and a highlight of some recent activities. So about REAMA, it's an association that has existed for over 20 years, founded in 1999 and officially registered as a trust in the year 2000. Our vision is basically to become the most efficient and reliable center for information research and promotion of all renewable energy technologies in Malawi, benefiting end users, members, and all interested stakeholders. Our mission is basically to promote efficient and sustainable use of renewable energies in Malawi to the satisfaction of all end users and stakeholders. We basically cover the whole spectrum of renewable energy, unlike maybe in other countries whereby different renewable energies have got different associations. In Malawi, we are an umbrella of all technologies. So when talking about renewables in Malawi, the industry association is REAMA. In terms of membership services, I would say I've got about 5-6 slides with some pictures. If you happen to forget everything, please don't forget this slide, because that's the most important slide. So our membership as REAMA is open. So whether you are technical or you are not technical, you are welcome to become a REAMA member. So REAMA membership is open to corporates, is open to non-government organizations, local and international institutions, individuals, as well as students, whether studying technical subjects as well as studying other support services. In terms of member profiles, currently REAMA has got 55 paid up and registered members. And among our membership profile, manufacturers, distributors, retailers, engineers, technicians, mini grid developers, independent power producers, researchers, both from academia and research institutions. We have got associations, international as well as local, civil society, as well as international development institutions. What do we offer as REAMA? We offer trainings, we offer networking platforms, knowledge exchange platforms, lobbying and advocating in policy reviews, for example, tax and duty waivers. Currently, Malawi is one of the few countries enjoying duty and VAT waivers, tax waivers on renewable energy technologies, be it solar panels, solar accumulators, batteries, solar charge controllers, and the many active components like inverters. All this is a work of REAMA that has lobbied over the years to convince government that to promote renewable energy in Malawi, we need to make the prices affordable and we remove the tariff barriers. As REAMA, we also coordinate events. We provide technical assistance to our members, as well as providing advisory and consulting services where needed. Our membership categories are in broad two categories, organizational as well as individual. So our membership starts from platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. As individuals, we have professional as well as student members. In terms of governance structures, REAMA is governed by a constitution, a board of trustees, and a secretariat. We have 7 board members. These are elected at an annual general meeting every 3 years, and 4 ex-official members from academia. I'm pleased to say that TICRET is actually from those universities, one of our members, and represented in the board of REAMA by our own Dr. Crispin Gogoda, who is also a presenter in this session. We also have the Minister of Energy representative as a trustee, as an ex-official member in the board, and individual energy experts. The day-to-day affairs of REAMA is managed by the Secretariat, to do the operations. We have got a wide range of cooperating partners from the Malawi government, as already alluded to, that they are ex-official members. We cooperate with GIZ, Energizing Development, Innovate UK, UKAIDS, the government of Ireland, GOGLA, AFSA, UNDP, the EU delegation to Malawi, USAID Power Africa, GIAP, World Bank, some local banks, Standard Bank, National Development Bank. A mention of Standard Bank, actually we have got an MOU whereby they prefer members from REAMA to supply services to members or customers of Standard Bank, and they also extend credit facilities to members of REAMA. We cooperate as well with the African Guarantee Fund, International Labour Organization, SACRI, SORAID, Solar Help Africa, United Purpose, ECAMA. We as well cooperate with government institutions like the Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, Malawi Revenue Authority, Malawi Bureau of Standards, Zuzu University, as already mentioned, MUBAS, another university, MAST, another scientific university, as well as Luana, that's the agricultural and environmental specialized university. Let me take you to a few highlights of some of events showcasing how REAMA is possibly contributing to renewable energy development in Malawi. So I will highlight the following. In 2022, REAMA hosted the Energy Catalyst UK Business Engagement Forum. We had the 22 National Energy Conference, successful conference. We had the Ntembanji mini-grid visit, Veraso Quality Verified Solar Distributors Workshop, and lastly, I'll finish with inviting you to the 2023 National Energy Conference to take place in Malawi, 26-27 October. So in July 2022, we hosted the Energy Catalyst UK. I think that was round 9 of Energy Catalyst, and a team from the United Kingdom comprising about 15 investors visited Malawi, and it was a wonderful event, as you can see from the pictures, of which the British High Commission took place, and on the site is the acting British High Commissioner at the time. And deals were closed, and as we are talking now, both members from the United Kingdom as well as from Malawi are implementing some of the successful projects that were awarded funds from the British government to bring innovative products in the renewable energy sector. As well as said, we hosted the 22 National Energy Conference at Sunbelt in Popola Mangochi, whereby our government was presented, the Parliament, the United Nations, UNDP, was the deputy resident, was representative, banks, the energy companies, both renewable and the other emerging technologies. They were represented, very successful conference, and we look forward to a similar conference this year. What was key was actually the knowledge exchange, sharing. We had presentations from varied presenters as well as young innovators who presented their technologies at this event. We also had an opportunity in December, actually soon after the conference, to visit Ntembanji mini-grid, which was actually had the support as well of our investor subscribe as a proof of concept. So we, REAMA members and some of the visiting members from IRO, as well as from the Kafue Watch in Zambia, Ministry of Labor, and other members actually visited this site, which was built with the technical assistance of United Purpose. And glad to say, in terms of physical implementation, installation of this mini-grid was done actually by a Reama member, BNG Electrical. So we are proud of this initiative that not only supported by Strathclyde University, but also implemented by Reama member BNG Electrical. Recently, in early August, we had actually a beautiful workshop hosted by Reama and the GIZ in Lilongwe, the capital of Malawi, whereby all various qualified, quality verified solar distributors were invited and engaged on how they can upscale the business. And there goes the team, a very beautiful team. And let me finish with an invitation to you all to the Reama National 2023 National Energy Conference on the theme Energy Education for Sustainable Development to be hosted by Reama and the Malawi government at Sunbelt Livingstonia Beach Hotel in Salima, Malawi. This is just about 120 km away from Lilongwe, the capital city. I'm sure all Scotland partners here will be with us at Salima to enjoy our beautiful sunny beaches. The dates are 26 to 27 October. So arrival actually has to be 25, 25th of October. And departures are from around 28th October. This concludes my presentation. If you would like to contact us on how we can work together and how we can facilitate any of the projects you are doing in Malawi, you are most welcome. And yes, these are the contacts. Physically, we are in European business centers in Area 3 Lilongwe. That's where the Reama Secretariat is hosted. You can reach us both by email as well as you can reach out through our website. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to more interactions. Questions will be welcome at an appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sustain. That was an excellent presentation, and thank you also for the warm invitation for people to come to the conference. I think it looks like a great opportunity. I think in the interest of time, unless anybody's got a very specific question for Sustain at the moment, I think what we'll do is we'll move on to our next speaker and we'll take just general questions at the end. So thank you again. It's very much appreciated, Sustain, and hopefully we'll have some questions for you at the end of the presentation section this morning. Our next speakers are Letitia and Robert, and they're going to tell us about the Blantyre to Blantyre research facility. So just to hand over to Letitia and Robert. I'm not sure which order they're speaking in, but I'm sure they'll work that out.
Good morning, everybody, and greetings from Botswana, where we're both located. My name is Robert Hanna. I'm Director of African Sun Energy, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute. I'm with a colleague here. You can obviously tell which one of us is the engineer. She's got a safety on this morning. But let me just give you a quick introduction to who we are, what we do. So first of all, we're really happy to be here today. Thank you very much indeed for the invitation to be able to provide support and contribute to this forum to see how we can speed up the adoption of clean energy technologies and opportunities in Southern Africa, primarily in Malawi, where we also operate. So African Sun Energy was registered in 2020. It was founded actually by an alumni from University of Glasgow, Unison Tubedzi, and she wanted to drive the SDG agenda here in the region. So she set up ASE. In 2020, we had 3 staff. Today, in 2023, we have 23 staff. So we've seen rapid growth during that period of time. And ASE is a holding company for several other entities, including, which are effectively EPCs. We have Sustainable Energy Malawi, Sustainable Energy in Zambia, which is a new company we've set up with as a joint venture with the University of Zambia, and Sustainable Energy Botswana, where we are today. We also have a company called Clean Energy Capital, which is an investment company specifically investing in our own projects. So we do actually own and operate our own projects. ASE also is an R&D company, so we have several projects that have been fully funded by the UK Energy Catalyst Programme. We've had 3 of those successfully running, and we have E2 EU projects running at the moment through the LEAP programme, and bidding at the moment for 2 new Horizon projects, Horizon Africa. ASE also is the owner of some of the IPs that have been developed within those projects. And just to give you a quick example, we've recently signed a joint venture agreement with Jaguar Land Rover, develop a second life EV battery assembly here in Botswana to supply storage technologies for some of our projects and other for other clients in the region to provide low cost storage technologies. That's just to give an example. ASE is a DBFO, so we design, build, finance, and operate power plants at various scales. We actually a utility scale project, so we're just completing 2 of the first grid-tied projects in Botswana, 1 megawatt and 3 megawatt projects, which are actually providing power into the utility. These are the first ones being commissioned in Botswana ever since the research project in 2010. So we're very excited to be able to announce that. We actually have the president coming to officially open one of those projects in October. And I'll tell you a bit more about that later. We also do a lot of C&I projects. So commercial industrial is our largest portfolio. 67% of our projects implemented across our 3 territories are C&I projects, primarily industry driving the change for clean energy because of cost and energy security issues, and also to comply with ESG compliances. So we're seeing a lot of that driving change at the moment, and that portfolio is rapidly growing. And we also in the what I will call the productive energy sector, so providing power for residential properties, water pumping for farms, agricultural projects, and EV bikes, and various other technologies using renewables for productive energy. Our current pipeline this year is about 10.5 megawatts that we actually have underway, under construction and financing. We've just, as I mentioned, built 2 utility scale projects. They're not owned by us, by the way, they're owned by Sturdy Energy from South Africa, who we partner with. We actually are partners with them in a 4.1 megawatt commercial project at the University of Botswana, which will be the largest commercial project in Botswana this year. And also, the key issue for us is not the technology, it's actually getting the finance. And it's one of the messages I want to get out there today, that we could speed up and drive change much quicker if we got our fair share of investment that is out there globally. As you probably all appreciate, the global market for investment in this year in renewables will be about $1.8 trillion. Africa will less than 1% of that. Yet we have the biggest market and the biggest opportunity, but we seem to get the least finance. So we have been working very hard to address that issue. I'm very pleased to announce that ASE has signed deals with ASBA Bank and Standard Chartered Bank and Standard Group Bank to develop new climate loan financing products to reach both markets for the pro-poor and also bottom of the value chain, also for commercial and industry projects. We also, I should say that besides our C&I programs, we're also very active in the off-grid space, because we all know this is the biggest challenge. How do you bring electrical services to the rural poor and rural remote areas within the region? And Botswana is no different from Malawi in that context. And Letitia will be telling a bit about our R&D work that we've had funding from the Energy Catalyst Programme since 2018 to develop some very exciting technologies, but also some new business models supported by fintech platforms and various other enabling technologies to bring that to market. Anyway, enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Letitia in a minute, who's from Malawi. We'll tell you a bit about her journey. I just want to say very quickly that Letitia is actually a director of our company in Malawi. So she's not just an engineer, she's actually driving the business there. And we're very excited. We've got some very exciting new projects developing in Malawi, so she'll be able to tell you about that. But just before I hand over to Letitia, I think we're going to play a short video just to introduce a bit of our services to you.
Yeah, welcome back. As mentioned earlier, I'm a teacher. I'll be taking you through my journey working with African Sun Energy. So allow me to share my screen. I believe everyone is able to see my screen. So I'll share my story on how I started working with African Sun Energy and what we've done so far in Malawi and what we are about to do in Malawi. My story with African Sun Energy in 2021, that was in June, when I participated in the solar installation of the Blantyre facility. Initially, there were over 100 applicants who applied to participate in the program, but only 78 were shortlisted. Out of the 78, 6 of us were selected to participate in the on-the-job installation of the Blantyre Research Facility solar system. As you can see in the picture, those are some of my colleagues, the people that are on the job. So African Sun Energy was looking for one person to be awarded a contract, and I emerged as the top performer out of the 6. So I was given a contract to work as a renewable energy engineer and also as a business development manager, responsible for overseeing our business expansion and acquiring new clients in Malawi. Since then, I've been participating in a lot of capacity building programs here in Botswana. But before I start talking about them, let me briefly take you through the journey at Blantyre Research Facility. So as you can see in the picture, this is the laboratory. We installed 80 panels on the roof. And the system also has a battery storage system of 45 kilowatt hours. And the roof-mounted system is 30 kilowatts peak. Together, the roof and the battery storage, they supply uninterrupted energy to the research facility. So as I was mentioning earlier, that after the Blantyre Research Facility, I've been involved in several capacity building programs in Botswana. Just to mention a few, I've been involved in the installation at the UK High Commission solar system. I've been involved in the installation at WDM Botswana. It's actually a diamond manufacturing company in Botswana. And also, I've been involved in the utility scale projects, the projects my colleague Robert mentioned, 3 megawatts in Shakamu. And 1 megawatt in Bobono. But at Riverside Hospital, that is, it was a 62 kilowatt peak system with no battery, but it's shaving off, during the day, it's shaving off the grid completely. During the day, the hospital is running on solar. As you can see in the picture, I was taking through the property manager at the Riverside. I was taking him through on how the system is performing and how the installation was done and everything. But what has really intrigued me working in Botswana is the implementation of off-grid systems in rural area studies. So recently I was working in Jamataka, where we were installing Projo units. And I should mention that these units have built-in inverters, built-in batteries of 20 Ah, that is approximately 246 watt hours of energy. They also have built-in charge controllers of 75 volts, 15 amps. So this prosumer unit allows allows the users to charge their phones. They allow them to illuminate their homes and listen to radios. But what is most interesting about these units is that they are easy to use. They are very easy to install, and they are eco-friendly. And I look forward to having these technologies installed in Malawi, particularly in Machinga, where we are currently working with our partner. We're working to develop an off-grid system in Machinga. I look forward to use these technologies in Malawi. So that is my journey with African Sun Energy. And at the last slide is just a picture of the prosumer unit, how it looks like. As you can see, it's portable and it's easy to use. So yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to share my story and my experience. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Letitia and Robert. Actually really impressive, I think, sort of scale projects as well as the sort of achievements. And I guess not least of which is your own personal achievements, Letitia, over such a short period of time. So your career is obviously really rocketing, so that's very impressive. I wonder if anybody has any specific questions at this stage for Letitia or Robert. I don't think there's some points of clarification that maybe have come through in the chat regarding somebody mentions about a glossary for ESG compliance. I don't know if I've tried to answer that really, and the other one was around CNI. I don't know if you could maybe explain those acronyms. I don't know if you're able to do that, either Robert or Letitia.
Yeah, my apologies. Yes, so the ESG is the new environmental social governance policies that's driving a lot of the private sector to be compliant and demonstrate their corporate responsibility. I should say, by the way, that African Sun Energy is the first organization in Southern Africa, a solar organization, to get UN compact status. So we worked very, very hard to walk the talk, if you like. So Letitia hasn't probably mentioned, and we're very proud of her, Letitia's achievements. And we actually run our own BQA, Botswana Qualification Approved Solar Training Program. Letitia's now helping us deliver in Zambia, where she'll be next. But I was going to say that the training side in bringing women into the engineering is one of our key tasks that Eunice specifically put on the company. So 75% of our engineering team at the moment are actually women, young women. So this is a really major breakthrough for us and a good investment from our point of view in terms of staff and capacity building. But that's all part of the environmental social compliance that we're being assessed. And that's working really well for us from the point of view that a lot of our major global corporations like Orange, mobile company, the UK government, the UN, the US government, Standard Bank, the big international players that we work with all are now raising their quality of their compliance in terms of implementation. So that is an added advantage to us. And in terms of CNI, sorry, I should have said it's commercial industrial projects. So a mix of, as Letitia said, working for the diamond sector, working for the banking sector, working for the manufacturing sector. I mean, I want to say that, it's been quite extraordinary, the growth and the opportunity I think we're going to see in the next 5 or 6 years. If the finance can follow the projects, we will see some major shifts. Because as you all know, this is one of the best places in the world to generate electricity using the sun. It's there every single day. We have 320 days of sunlight in Botswana, and Malawi is not much different than Zambia. So it's a real opportunity. And if the industry racks up, I think we'll see some major projects coming through in the next few years.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So I think in the interest of just trying to stick to the agenda a little bit, I think we'll maybe take further questions at the end, if that's okay. I'm sure there'll be, I have quite a lot myself, but we might have to take that into another meeting, I think. So the next speaker on the agenda today is Richard Bennett. He's from the Bubesi Pride Foundation, and we're looking forward to hearing about his talk. Richard, over to you.
Thanks very much, Stuart, and I will just share my screen quickly. haven't done this in a while. Okay. Can you see my screen okay? Let's see if I can move that down. Cool. Okay. So I think the best way of describing what I will share with everybody is more of a case study based on what we do. So you know, I'm by no means an expert in solar power or renewables, but obviously for us it was a really good option for us to explore and pursue, and we were fortunate to be able to initiate something for our organization and the center that we built in Malawi. Really briefly, I will just fly through a generic presentation that we have, just to give you an idea of who we are and why we needed a renewable option at our community center. But we're a, oh, is this not going? Oh, there we go. We're a youth sport for development organization. We've been doing work in multiple African countries, including Botswana, over the last 10 years, but kind of somewhat pandemic driven, and also because of the progress that we were making in Malawi, and we registered an NGO in Malawi back in 2017, our focus has increasingly moved towards supporting the work that we do there, effectively using sport as a tool for upliftment in rural communities, and for us, particularly in a rural part of Lilongwe. So we started developing, we raised some funds initially in 2017, 2018 to build a community center. I'll just leave that up on the front screen. But yeah, obviously it was a very ambitious project, and ultimately we knew kind of at some point down the line, given the remote location of the center, about 25 kilometers northwest of Lilongwe, that we would need some kind of electricity solution. But that's something that we started to explore kind of through the course of 2021. But the key thing for us, and I don't need to share this with many people on the on this call today, is that, you know, ultimately, you know, for us, there's a reason for what we do, and you know, we exist to help young people fulfill their potential. We use sport and life skills and supplementary education to try and enable that. But obviously, when you're working in rural areas, access to power is very limited. And we wanted our community center that we built to be able to provide just that little bit extra, so that we're not kind of limiting the way in which we're able to deliver our activities. I won't spend too much time on this, but effectively this is our theory of change. We want to have really effective resources, whether it's enabling access for young people, teachers, coaches, community members to effective resources, whether it's curriculums or sporting resources. And for us now, we've built this incredible facility, and then we want to enable meaningful activities. We use rugby, netball, and we are building out, it's early stages for now, but we're building out some supplementary education activities that longer term will have curriculums. We're working with some other partners at the moment, other NGO partners, but ultimately, you know, for us, it's about using sport and education as a tool for positive engagement and effective outcomes that drive our impact goal. So yeah, we've got 3 programs now that we deliver. So Sport for Development is one of the programs. We've got Clubs for Development, effectively youth clubs that where we have about 200 young people, boys and girls, that are accessing our facilities at the center, and an HIV/AIDS and sexual and reproductive health rights program. And all of these will use the center, and we have outreach programs as well. But obviously, you know, the center is an important base for us to be able to deliver programs longer term. And we started some hosting of group visits this year. We always wanted to have international groups. They could obviously be groups from within Malawi as well, or other African countries. but effectively bringing groups to the centre who can offer various skills that will complement what we're doing as an organisation. So there's just a list of kind of skills there that very much are part of our strategic plan and fit with our theory of change. So any group that's coming in can stay on site, but the reason I mention it here is because by having people stay on site, it acts as a revenue generator for the NGO. And once again, you know, if you don't have a facility that has power, certainly when you have groups coming in from the UK, for instance, as we do, people do expect to be able to plug their phones in or switch a light on or whatever. So, you know, we always knew that was going to be an important part of the longer term master plan. There's a nice view of the facility. So you'll see the pitch in the foreground, full-size sports pitch. There's 2 netball courts off to the right. Manager's house top right, which actually we used a company which some of you will know, Team Planet, initially to provide just about sufficient power provision in the manager's house. But then we worked with, and again, some of you may know, a different company called Solarize for a solar solution for the rest of the site. And I've got some other pictures. We fitted 16 panels to the back of the clubhouse. We've got 2 batteries, and all of that together provides just enough power for the clubhouse, the 2 classrooms and the canteen. And then obviously we've got that accommodation block in the top left, but we will need to add a couple more batteries when funds become available. Here's some other projects that we're working on. But just in terms of my kind of, I guess, I was asked to talk today. I think from our perspective, you know, we've been very fortunate to have, you know, the opportunity to implement a solar solution. I think, you know, for many communities, different community-based organizations, community projects, obviously getting funding is the biggest barrier. But, you know, we were very fortunate to be able to get a grant and enable us to implement this project. So just, yeah, flicking through a couple of the photos here, you'll see that the panels just on the top of our clubhouse here. We also have got some solar geysers just on the left, the bottom here of our accommodation block to provide hot water for this accommodation block here. We do need to get some more on the other side. Yeah, some photos of some of the project. My computer's always a bit slow when I'm presenting. Yeah, so that's a photo of the whole site there. That's where the panels went onto the top of the clubhouse. We did go through a process of reviewing several different companies for us to work with, and I will say I don't work for Solarize, but I will say that they were and have been very, very. Just a couple of images of obviously going back to that justification for what we do and why we needed power. Yeah, that's a bigger picture of the whole facility. But yeah, working with Solarize has been brilliant. I think, you know, when you are given the opportunity to obviously pursue an option to be able to go off grid and enable your organization or a facility that you have to have access to power, obviously it is a wonderful opportunity for anyone out in these rural areas. We did look at the option of connecting to mains power. We would have needed to have, I think we would have needed to put some infrastructure in to connect to the main grid. I think probably 4 or 5 kilometers worth of cabling. But I actually think it will have cost, when we looked at the options, it would have cost about the same amount. So we just felt that, you know, given a bit more of a secure provision of power going forward, when you weigh that against the problems that you have with load shedding being connected to the mains grid, we just felt that this was a better option. So, you know, we've been very lucky. I'm just showing a couple of images of the irrigation system as well. We've used a solar pump to enable us to provide a constant supply of irrigation or water to irrigate our pitch and the whole site. And we've got a second tank, so we've got two 10,000 litre tanks on the site, so we're able to irrigate the site regularly. But yeah, I think the sort of key takeaway from our experience is that, you know, we went about it in a relatively methodical way to implement the right solution for us, but we were very fortunate to get the funding, and I know that is a big barrier for so many. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful as far as a case study is concerned, and then, you know, at any point happy to sort of field questions.
Thank you, Richard. That is very interesting, and I think, although you've got a bit more scale perhaps than some groups might have, your application is not untypical across many different, you know, it might have a different emphasis, and a key component of it is understanding the demand a lot, and what solutions you should use, I think, really. There's a few pieces of info in the chat, I think, really. But I think what I'd like to do, if you'll give me sort of chair's permission, really, is move on to the next presentation, and then we'll take the questions in the round, because I've got a feeling we might hear some responses from across our speakers to the same types of questions, if that makes any sense. So thank you, Richard. That was really good to see, actually. And finally, I think our final speaker is Crispin Gogda, who is from Mzuzu, and he's going to tell us a bit about the training capabilities in renewable energy that they're facilitating through the university. So just to hand over to Crispin, if he's still on the call. Oh, maybe not.
Hi,
Stuart. Hi, Crispin.
Yeah. Hi, Stuart. Yeah, so just loading up my presentation.
Sure, that's great. In your own time.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yes, it's coming through fine.
Looks great.
All right. Okay, yeah. So 1 second. Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present TCRET, which is the Test and Training Center for Renewable Energy Technologies from Mzuzu University. As the chair has indicated, I'm Crispin Kokoda, a lecturer in the Department of Energy Systems at Mzuzu University, as well as the coordinator for the Test and Training Center for Renewable Energy Technologies, which is a center of excellence in the department here at Mzuzu University. A brief background about TCRET. So, as I've already said, it is a test and training center for renewable energy technologies, which is a center of excellence in the Faculty of Science and Technology and Innovation at Mzuzu University. It was established in 2003 as an initiative from the government of Malawi, after noting that there were barriers to energy in Malawi. So a project was incepted, which was called Barrier Removal to Renewable Energy in Malawi. And one of the outputs from the Barrier project was the establishment of the Test and Training Center at Mzuzu University. The Test and Training Center had one of the outputs to come up with a Department of Energy Systems, which is designed to offer degree programs, and that is what is currently happening from the Department of Energy Systems. But then for TCRET, the vision is to a reputable and functional center of excellence in energy systems, contributing to sustainable energy generation and utilization in Malawi and beyond. The mission is to provide high-quality trainings and testing and complementary services in the energy systems through innovative continuous professional development programs, research and consultancy in Malawi and beyond. Those are some of the specific objectives for the Test and Training Center for Renewable Energy Technologies, which include promotion of collaborative research, providing consultancy services, and providing testing services, as well as providing certificate level training in renewable energy technologies, as the name suggests. So from the objectives, our range of services includes training in RETS, that's renewable energy technologies. We also do consultancy services in designing renewable energy systems, as well as carrying out different research activities, including energy surveys and audits in the renewable energy sector. Some of the achievements over time, TICRET has trained more than 450 technicians and more than 200 engineers in solar photovoltaics and wind technology for lighting. The center has collaborated in offering tailor-made short courses with institutions such as UNB, MERA, SADC, ESAMI, Department of Energy Affairs, and many other partners. The establishment of the Department of Energy Systems was one of the achievements. The department offers training at bachelor's degree level, and we are soon launching a master's program, which we're expecting to start in January. We also have carried out a lot of collaborations, and quite early on in the stages of TICRET, we have had Investors Trust, right, which is here with us today, and other investors like Investor of LAFPRO, Sheffield University, and many other players in the energy sector. Some of the achievements continued. With support from the British High Commission, TICRET managed to install 11 biogas digesters in Choma Chigwere area, which is up north Malawi. And we also were able to install 12 biogas digesters in Mchinji, which is the western part of the country. That was with Investors Trackside through the Malawi Renewable Energy Acceleration Program, one of the projects that spearheaded development of community energy Malawi, community energy activities in Malawi. TICRET has also worked with other organizations like CCOD, VSO in promotion of biogas technologies, as well as consultancy services, including designing of mini-grid systems, like the one installed that was done by Community Energy Malawi, funding from UNTB, was designed by TICRET consultants. Most recently, we've had a training in women for women technicians and engineers, and they were being trained in RETS, which was one of the initiatives to promote participation of women in renewable energy, because it is understood that most of the people who are affected due to lack of access to modern energy services are women, for example, when it comes to issues of cooking, exposure to hazardous smokes. So the center thought it wise that putting up women in this kind of training will help to promote. The background is that most of the trainings that TICRET has offered, in most cases, participants are male-dominated, sometimes without females at all. So as a way of promoting women participation, we have to have a tailor-made training with funding from University of Sheffield through a CSET project. So really just a quick highlight of the women training. It was quite interesting to see how women were participating in the training activities. As you can see in the picture there, of course, they're just showing some kind of displaying the technologies they were learning. That was a class session. And this was something to do with practical installation, really. So we can see women really doing practicals in installation of solar PV system, which in the meantime, it is one of the backup systems that is powering the Energy Systems Department offices at Renewables University. It was installed by these women trainees for that particular project. And that one is just one of the women attendants receiving an award for their participation in the training. Current engagements. So we have active projects currently running with Investors Sheffield. under the Community Energy Systems and Sustainable Energy Transitions in Ethiopia, Malawi, and Mozambique. We have a SAFE project, which is a World Bank project that is being implemented in public institutions, including in Zuzu University. But from Zuzu University, this is being implemented through energy and ICT. So for energy, we're looking at renewable energy as the main, one of the implementing partners in the university. We also have another project that is currently running with the Save the Children International in Green Jobs, where we're targeting training about 200 youth and Shell. And we also are running baseline survey with Oxfam Malawi with their Peace Project, which is aimed at promoting different players' participation in advocating for their energy rights. Thanks for listening. Hope it has been a short presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Crispin. That was greatly appreciated. So I think the next stage in our agenda is really a general set of a discussion section, maybe comments and questions. So it would be great to hear from you all of any queries that you might have, points of clarification, things that you're trying to do yourself. But it'd be great if you could maybe we could make good use of our speakers this morning and their expertise. So, I mean, is there anybody got any questions? Heather, I notice you've got a question in the chat. I wonder if you're still on the call, whether we'd like to just maybe pose it, because it sounds like a good question for all of our speakers, really.
Yes, indeed, Stuart. Thank you very much. How inspiring to listen to all of our speakers this morning. And it seems to me that Malawi has, often with some input from Scottish expertise and others, has developed so fast with innovative and individualized solutions, which were more advanced than what we see in Scotland. Okay, we don't have anything like as much sun, but we know we can still benefit from solar energy being produced. And if you look at the domestic market particularly, it seems to me that we can get no real advice and direction towards anything other than roof PV panels. I wondered whether this was an opportunity for us to have some more advice and help from Malawi for Scotland, and perhaps an occasion where the SNP, of which many of you know that I'm the chair, and MASP could perhaps facilitate even greater links. And then I thought even about the student population. But my real question is, what about the domestic market? And what about Scotland's position? Malawi is doing so well. Thank you.
First, there you go. So I wonder if any of our speakers have got any comments in relation to that, about the opportunities for sharing knowledge back from Malawi back to Scotland in terms of renewable energy. No? Maybe I could add some extra stimulus to that, just to say that I think this is really one of the things we want to try and foster through the Renewable Energies Forum. You can see there's people here from, you know, both countries as well as Botswana, we've heard this morning. Really, we want to try and share that experience and learning. And I think that some of the initiatives that we've heard about today do echo very well, I think, maybe not for maybe grid connected customers, but there's quite a few Scottish islands that don't have an electricity supply, and they operate on their own with a mixture of solar, wind and diesel, which is not too dissimilar to what the types of systems we've heard about this morning. So my view, Heather, is that there is some good opportunities to try and connect people together and try and share that learning, because they're faced with very similar challenges. Although, as Robert had mentioned, we don't have 320 days worth of sunshine in Scotland, as I think most of us will be familiar with, but we do have some solar energy that we could take advantage of. So I don't know, any colleagues, anybody from the speakers, Robert or Letitia, Sustain, Richard,
Yeah.
Crispin, any thoughts?
I'm very happy to make some contribution to that discussion. First of
Please
all,
do.
you may not have the sun in Scotland, but what you do have is cost-reflective tariffs. I mean, one of the biggest problems we face in the region is that government support to keep electricity grid-connected prices exceptionally low. If I told you, for instance, that in Botswana we're paying $0.08 per kilowatt hour, you'll probably cry. Compared to your very high utility costs, and we're subsidizing, by the way, international companies that are making huge profits by providing them with cheap electricity. So you may not have the sunshine, but you definitely have the tariffs, which make the investment story much difficult. And as I said in my introduction, one of the biggest challenges we face as an industry sector is the fact that we can't get investors to come into the region, not just Botswana. I mean, the tariff in Malawi, as you know, is much higher than Botswana. It's about 14 US cents per kilowatt hour. So, we need to address these issues. We really do need to find a solution to the just energy transition. And as I said earlier, this is a huge opportunity here in Africa. We have the 660 million or whatever citizens here on this continent that don't have access to the clean energy services that are transformative. I mean, how can you have a health service without electricity? How can you have sports? How can you have an education system? There are so many parts of the development story that need an access to electricity. So, as I said, I think the technology challenges are no longer there. The price of solar has crashed. I mean, we're building projects in the region now for under $1 per kilowatt hour, even in the off-grid space. I mean, battery storage is still a challenge, but that's changing. We're working with an innovative Scottish company at the moment that are introducing new technologies that will bring down the price to $100, $120 per kilowatt hour. So there are some really exciting things happening in the space that, benefit both ways, really. But, the circumstances are slightly different, I think. And the investment story is the key challenge for all of us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, because it's not often these things are not technologically, prohibitive. It's just how you facilitate it. I think another thing you mentioned, you maybe didn't quite mention there, was about the use of data and understanding the nature of the demand. The way systems are designed and installed in Scotland and across the UK are, based on various assumptions and good estimates about how people are using energy, businesses or domestic users. And even in the off-grid case, they need to be quite accurate about what that is, because you get some imbalances. So, another thing that could supplement that business investment is a better use of data to try and actually understand the nature of the demand. And then, I accept, Robert, assuming the finance is available, rating the systems appropriately, particularly in the rural off-grid things that you mentioned.
No, you're absolutely right. Data is critical because it informs investors in terms of in so many ways. And we actually have a colleague, Professor Mario Ingst, who, as I mentioned, we got some funding from the EU, and we're doing some work on this. So every system we've installed, we have very detailed information on how energy consumers are using that information.
Good. I'm pleased to hear that, actually.
And we're analysing that. I mean, Letitia mentioned earlier the system that we installed at the hospital, the first solar hospital in Botswana. Within days, we were able to look at how the energy hospital, we found, for instance, they're doing the washing of their linen in the afternoon, late in the afternoon when solar's not delivering its most. So just introducing a management in the way that hospital delivers some of its services made the solar system more efficient, having to add more panels. And behavior change can actually influence quite a lot the costs and the energies used in the system space. And that also goes for our off-grid systems. Letitia mentioned the work with the research project with funding from the EU Catalyst Programme for 3 years at Jamataka, where we put in a LoRa WAN to a rural area. So data, and that's actually forming. We have a partnership developing with 2 of the mobile companies here now to do microcredit loans for the energy use, and they're actually basing their decision making on whether the individuals requesting the loans are eligible based on the data we're collecting in terms of their payment profiles. So just like in the modern context in the developed world, where credit companies, all kinds of data to inform decisions about whether your credit worthiness is up to it, we're able to use very sophisticated data to make informed decisions, and that actually enhances the investment opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, despite the on-the-ground stuff that you guys are describing, it might be the data itself that helps you actually broaden the reach, because you could apply it to other cases in advance and help understand, what the investment could look like. So that's great. Crispin, I wonder if I could maybe, not to totally put you on the spot, but I know you've got some good understanding of the UK system as well as what's happening in Malawi. I wondered if you had any thoughts on any of this about the applicability of good knowledge exchange back to the UK and Scotland in particular.
Oh yeah, I think thank you very much. I think one of the platforms to enhance this kind of learning or exchange of knowledge is probably to take stock of the so many projects that Scotland has supported in Malawi, to see how they have fared over the years. I know, like the project that we were engaged in the EMRE, which was funded by the Scottish government as well, early on, I think about 2013, 2014, thereabout. So we had initiatives like installation of biogas, the ones I mentioned, 12 of them in Uchinji. Maybe some kind of longitudinal learning towards how such systems are performing and what sort of challenges are there, how can it be made better. So that kind of learning, I think, would really be important, because it would inform additional funding mechanisms, additional support mechanisms to see where things can be done. To the extent, about 2 weeks ago, I was in Mchinji myself on a different project, and I had a short visit to one of the beneficiaries of the biogas projects that we installed, and I was told the system stopped about maybe 2 months prior to my visit, but that is about after 9 years of operation. But when I looked at the problem that they were having, it was literally just a flexible pipe that was broken from the pipe that gets gas onto the cooking pot. So such kind of learning, what kind of support systems would have to have in such kind of initiatives would probably be a good platform for learning between the two countries. It would really help.
Yeah, thank you. That is greatly appreciated, and I completely agree with you. So one of the things I mentioned in my opening remarks was about the Global Renewables Centre that we're starting to host for Scottish Government. And without going into a lot of detail, there's a little bit of information. Damien has posted a link to it in the chat where we're starting out from. That is fundamentally about a knowledge exchange activity, and that's between Malawi and also Rwanda and Zambia. Not Zambia, Rwanda and Zambia. Sorry, I'm getting my countries mixed up there. Yeah, but we're hoping to facilitate that sort of country-to-country exchange. But it is absolutely about a two-way link back to Scotland, for example, from all of those partners and amongst ourselves, and that could be in lots of different parts to this. So that, I hope, if we can get some momentum, a further momentum behind it, would be a way of getting this conversation started. And our ambition is to try and touch at all levels, whether that's the kind of some of the larger, like the industry type projects, industrial type projects that Robert and Letitia were describing, but it's all the way down to sort of community, rural, off-grid things, which all have different challenges. We've heard from Robert just a moment ago there. So hopefully we can chat to you about that another time. I wondered if anybody's got any other questions at all that we want to discuss. Ian, I see your hands up, so it'd be great to hear from you.
Yes, two very short questions to Crispin and Gregora. One is that a few years ago, I worked on a project which involved the Smart Centre in the Zuzu. I know Smart Centre isn't mostly renewable. I know it's mostly with water boreholes. But so the first question is TCRET working with the Smart Centre? Does the Smart Centre still exist? And the other very quick question is that 2 weeks ago, I visited the new Rotary-sponsored solar borehole being installed at Batere, and I wondered if Crispin was involved in that.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Ian. I think I missed the first one, but the second one, the answer is no. I think I was not involved. But I would love to hear more about what was happening and what is happening, and if there is an opportunity for involvement.
Well, if I get your email address, I'll send on a wee note about it.
All right. But I think I missed the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
The first one was, is the Smart Centre at Mizzou's University still operating?
Yeah. So I don't have an explicit answer for that one, but where I was seeing Smart Centre operating, I'm not seeing any activities. So
okay.
I think it's okay. Sure, sure. Okay.
Sorry, I've got all these screens open, so I'm not sure if I'm getting people out of order. But Johnny, I noticed you had a question really about some different aspects of the systems in Malawi and elsewhere. I wonder if you're on the call still, would you mind just telling us what your question is? Would that be all right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. The question
is, put a
face
to it is what I'm hoping you see, rather than it's good to see you, basically. In other words.
Okay. So anonymous questions. Yeah. No. I just the question was about these, capacity building and building lots of capability for designing and implementing systems in Malawi and other parts of Southern Africa. And I think that's what I came onto this call to find out, is anybody doing that sort of thing? And that's fantastic. And to hear, it really encouraged me. But what I was also interested in is, all of these systems require, base technology, and is there anywhere that you're kind of developing the capacity, or do you have the resources and the raw materials, I suppose, as well in country to be able to develop some base technologies, and perhaps even develop new base technologies that are more appropriate to the Malawi context, rather than importing PV panels and batteries from China or wherever, or from Europe, that have been designed and built specifically for a European context originally, and then are being repurposed for African contexts. So are the base technologies being developed as well in Southern Africa?
Well, I'll refrain from giving you my own immediate answer on that, and maybe we could ask colleagues from any of the speakers. Have you got any views on that, or any knowledge that you could share with us about like in-country sort of production of things that are related to the delivery of renewables technologies and systems?
Yeah, I can give back on that. Yeah, this is a very important issue actually that we've been trying to address. I did mention in my presentation very shortly, Johnny, that we've done the Jaguar Land Rover to purpose second life batteries, specifically for the residential storage market and off-grid community market in the Southern African region. And also we're working with a Finnish company, I'm very pleased to say, that is looking to actually open up a model panel facility here in Botswana to supply the Southern African market. So, job creation is something we focused on quite a lot. And as I mentioned, ASE's job is to develop some of the IP that we've developed in our research, the 5 project we ran. And we signed a manufacturing agreement with the Northern Ireland company to make some of the thermal that are used in our residential grid to solar systems. So yeah, there is a move to do this, and it is getting legs. It's seen as one of the outcomes that we particularly want to see happen. So we're creating jobs. I should say, actually, I've been in the company. Everybody else in the company, the 23 staff that I mentioned earlier, are local people. So we have a huge commitment to developing local capacity in country. But I think we'll see more of that happening as we go forward, as the industry grows and the market scales to enable factories and facilities open to meet those manufacturing requirements.
Excellent, thank you, Robert. Sustain, Dilza. I'm not sure which order, but do you have anything to contribute in this respect?
Yeah, I think Teresa can respond. Is my vice president and responsible for research and development. So you mentioned some of our REAMA members that are already doing local manufacturing. Teresa?
She might be away from her desk.
Yeah, Teresa. I can proceed. Basically, we, in terms of base technologies, we have Growth Sense, one of the companies, actually a joint venture with a local company and a company from the United Kingdom. They are doing local manufacturing of batteries. They actually planning to do as well training for support of those batteries in Malawi. So it's a local factory being done in Malawi. For the solar panels, we have to admit we lost an opportunity around 2021 when Energy Africa wanted to establish a factory in Malawi, but they wanted some tax waivers on non-PV materials, talk about like aluminum frames and other kits to build up the solar panels. So they wanted to do it quickly. They established a factory in South Africa, but they're currently importing the same into Malawi and distributing in the Southern Africa region. So these are some of the examples of local manufacturing that we have. As a REAMA, we are actually promoting local manufacturing because it just does not only build capacity, but also promotes green job creation. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. I think it's a challenge everywhere in summary, Johnny, but there are opportunities developing as we're hearing. So, but again, investment and the market opportunities are the things that need to be considered. Delete, oh, no, the hand's gone down. Any other questions that we need to pick up on while we're here as a group? Or Crispin, do you want to say anything on that? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks. I just wanted to make a comment on the initiatives for promoting local manufacturing. I think that is an area that we really need to work on. And one of the things that we need to work on is some kind of mindset change. I think sometimes there's this kind of perception that this cannot be done in Malawi, this cannot be done in Malawi. It is pleasing that some organizations have started doing that. Like there's the example, the Yama President Sosten has indicated, like production of batteries. I think I've seen that facility down in Planta. It's a good initiative, and it is a complete demonstration that there's certain things that can really be done and improve on cost dynamics as well as. So maybe from the academia or from our perspective, we probably need to increase our drive towards issues of promoting innovation and probably strive to have such kind of support like spin-offs or some kind of enterprise facilities within the university to make sure that any initiatives or any innovative skills that would be demonstrated by students can be rolled out into maybe say organizations into manufacturing activities. Probably that's one of the other areas to explore with the partners like the Stuart and the Scottish government to see what kind of support, because back in the UK, I think issues of enterprising and maybe supporting innovations, they're taken quite seriously. I have personally seen those things happening where I was at Loughborough University. So maybe that is one of the key areas to consider in this kind of collaboration possibilities we're looking at.
Thank you very much. I'll just try to answer some questions there in the chat, so forgive me for that. And is there anybody else got any queries just now at all that they want to pick up on? I just see some other colleagues have been suggesting some other points. Yeah, I think, I'm sorry, I don't have it quite the right thing yet. I think that's probably us. So thank you. I'm going to hand back now to Stuart Brown to try and for him to close the meeting. But thank you again today for your attendance, for your interest and your participation. It's greatly appreciated.
Well, thanks very much, Stuart, and thank you for these fascinating contributions, questions and comments. Our thanks to Forum Chair, Professor Stuart Galloway, to Dr. Damien Frame, another key driving force behind this forum, to presenters Sustan, Robert, Letitia, Richard and Crispin, and to all of you for joining us. My thanks also to Chad Morris for leading from the SNP side with this event, and to Dorothea Nelson and Natasha Maluza for their support. You are very welcome to attend all and any of the Scotland-Malawi Partnership events which are coming up. All of the details are on the SNP's website. There's an in-person networking event on the 7th of September at the University of Strathclyde, when there'll be a delegation from Malawi working on adolescent health together with the university. The 14th of September at 11 AM, we've got a roundtable meeting online with the British High Commissioner in Malawi, Fiona Ritchie, who's formerly the director of DFID in Malawi and very experienced. Later that day, a Youth and Schools Forum online. And then on the 20th of September, from the Scottish Parliament and on Zoom, we'll hear from the University of Glasgow and Kamuzu University of Health Sciences on progress in Malawi on the malaria vaccine. And that's a joint meeting of the Malawi cross-party group, Holyrood, and the Malawi all-party parliamentary group in Westminster. Shortly after this event, we'll email you a 2-minute survey asking for your feedback on this event. We really do empathise with anybody with survey fatigue, but we'd be grateful if you would take 2 minutes to fill this one in for us. But I declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much for taking part. Do take care and goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. There you go. Well done, Richard.